Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. We are about halfway through the book of the weird Finnish sayings, so let's continue with another 10 today. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, check them out on my channel. I'm going through this book, Matti in the Wallet by Karoliina Korhonen, and interpreting and explaining some of the Finnish sayings that are included in this book. So the first one for today is JANISTAA, and there you see a picture of Matti as a rabbit and he's hopping, and the literal translation is to rabbit. And maybe from Matti's expression you can maybe get an idea of what he's feeling when he is rabbiting. So the actual meaning of the word is to get scared or run away. So this one is another one of those fun ones that there's kind of a similar saying in English. I would say to chicken out. So both of them relate to an animal, but in this case in Finnish you're rabbiting out instead of chickening out, which I think is funny. Both relate to an animal doing something to mean that you're running away or you're scared. Next one, in Finnish it's se meni pipariksi, and the literal translation of it is it went to gingerbread biscuits or gingerbread cookies. And here you see Matti holding a gingerbread cookie. This one I don't think you could guess based on the literal translation or the picture. It means something went completely wrong. And I was trying to think of like a good English saying, and the only one that I could think of, excuse my language, was it went to shit. There must be a PG version of that saying. I just can't think of it. If you don't have such a corrupted mind, let me know in the comments below what could be a similar saying in English, but for something to go to gingerbread cookies, it means something went completely wrong. Next up we have moni kakku päältä kaunis, mutta silkkoa sisältä. And this one, before I go to the translation of it, I have to say it's a saying that I've heard, but only the first part. Like I've heard moni kakku päältä kaunis, but I've never really heard anybody say the second part of the saying, but the meaning of the saying stays the same. So the literal translation of this very long saying is many cakes are beautiful on the outside, but inside are filled with bark bread. And this one, I think when you read the whole saying, it probably makes sense to you. You might be able to guess what it means. But as I said, usually I only hear the saying, many cakes are beautiful on the outside, and the rest is kind of inferred. So then if we look at the real translation, it means many things that look good aren't so good after all. A very similar saying in English, I think, is not all that glitters is gold. Meaning just, yeah, not everything that's shiny, not everything that's beautiful is beautiful on the inside. So a very similar saying. But again, I don't know if I have my Finnish viewers looking at this video. Have you ever heard the rest of the saying? I've only heard the first part, and the saying is complete even without the second part. But that's just my 2 cents. Then, next up we have a fun one, which I actually use a lot myself, and it's eteenpäin, sanoi MUNMO lumessa. And there you see a grandma treading along in the snow, and the literal translation is forward, said the granny in the snow. And this one is a fun one. If you use very like out of the box creative thinking, maybe you could figure out what it means. The actual meaning of the word is you should keep going even though it seems difficult. So you can just imagine this like tough grandma in a meter full of snow, like up to her waist, and she's like, no, we're not gonna give up, we're gonna continue forward. And then like maybe like the soft youngins are like, oh, I don't want to, it's too hard. But yeah, so like even if a grandma can go trudge through snow, then anybody can. And that's kind of the idea of the saying. Next up we have päästää SAMMAKKO suustaan. And the literal translation is to let a frog out of one's mouth. And this one, you see Matti there, and he's evidently produced a frog out of his mouth. When you look at this picture and you hear that saying, like, what comes to your mind? Do you think that it could mean to say something inappropriate, to say too much about something? Because that's the actual meaning of the word. I would say in English, a similar saying could be to put a foot in one's mouth or something like that, to put a foot in your mouth, to say something inappropriate or to say too much. Next up we have olla PIHKASSA, and I don't know if that's really a saying. I would say it's more of like just a colloquial way to say this thing that it means, but the literal translation is to be in resin. And there you see Matti, the character, and he's covered with resin. He is in resin. The actual meaning is to be fond of someone, or actually I would say even more, it means you have a crush on somebody. And I would say it's similar as the word crush in English. It's like it's a way of saying that you like someone like a little bit more, like not love, but you have a crush on somebody. I would say to be PIHKASSA is kind of to have a crush. It's a similar meaning, and that's why I said it's not really a saying. It's more of just a way of saying that you like someone, or that someone likes someone. Next up we have AVATA SANAINEN ARKKU, and there the literal translation is to open a chest filled with words, and there you have Matti opening a chest that has lots of different words. Now this one, I think once you see the translation, it'll make sense to you. I think if you just look at the picture and you hear the saying, the literal translation of the saying, you think it means many things, but it means to reveal your opinion. So not to like open your mouth or to say, talk too much, because if I would hear that without knowing what it means, I would imagine like that someone finally gets the courage to speak, or they speak a lot, but it is to reveal your opinion. But I think I just kind of said it myself. It's to get the courage to open up, and that's kind of like opening the chest. Like you have all this like opinion within you, and then you finally reveal it, and that's to open then the chest of words. Next up we have Ei auta itku markkinoilla, and there you see poor Matti with tears in his eyes. And the literal translation is there's no use crying at the marketplace. There, the literal translation is you can't do anything about it. And a very similar saying in English is there's no use crying over spilled milk. And both of the sayings have something to do with crying, that you're sad when something happened. Here Matti is sad at the market, and someone might be sad over spilled milk, but in the end there's nothing you can do about it. There's no use crying about it, basically. Next up we have Ei KUKKO KÄSKIEN LAULA, and there you see Matti telling the rooster to sing, and that the literal translation is roosters don't crow on demand, and he's like, crow now. And the actual meaning of it is not everything happens the way you want it to. And here I can't immediately think of a similar saying in English. I'm betting that there is one though. But basically that you can't force something to happen. And the final one for today is Ei kukaan ole SEPPA syntyessään, and the literal translation being no one is born a blacksmith. And there you see Matti as a baby, and he's trying to be a blacksmith, a very cute Matti with his big round eyes. Anyway, and this one I think is quite obvious, or you could infer what the saying means. The actual meaning being no one can be expected to be an expert without practicing. And then here I guess in English saying could be practice makes perfect. That you have to put some time and effort into something if you want to be a master of it. And yeah, that's not a given. No one is born an expert. So I hoped you liked those 10 sayings today. Like I said, we still have about half of the book to go, so I will have more of these coming your way in the next few weeks. And then stay tuned, because I have some exciting travel related content coming hopefully next month. Fingers crossed. I will let you know about that later. See you on the channel next time. Bye guys.